Going live. I'm live. So I'm listening to Jolene Lunzer, and she's roasting, roasting Megan Cox. I think it's Lori. Oh my God. Uh, Lori. Oh, the woman from Utah, Daybell. Oh my God, it just totally, my brain just skipped a beat here. She's roasting Lori. She's roasting Lori Daybell's niece, Megan Cox. Um, she's pretty funny. She's a comedian. She's a writer. Her channel, Jolene Lunzer, and she spells Jolene Joleen, Lunzer Lunzer. So every time I hear that name, I think of Dolly Parton, Jolene. Yeah, I won't sing and oh, I'm all crooked here. I don't even know what's happening. What's happening? Anyway, it's April 21st, Tuesday, 2026. I feel like it's 4:20 because I feel like um, I'm tired. I'm tired, so I'm feeling a little out of it. But I don't even remember the last time I was on. Maybe a week, maybe two. I've just been busy and you know meeting some deadlines and life. I just bit the inside of my cheek, which I hate doing. So it's late. What time is it? Oh, I have clocks and watches and my ring is 10:18. I have 50 million places to look at the time. And I can also ask Alexa, which I often do. So yeah, so what's the title of this? Just chittin' chatting. Um, Wanted to talk about Outlander season 7, which kind of sucked. For those of you who watched, I mean, I love I just love Outlander, and I did uh, love the actors in the episode, but there's a storyline in there that they're just totally screwing around with. So um, it just was kind of really confusing, but it was good. There's only 8, 9, 10, 3 more episodes left, and it's the final season. But they'll probably do a movie. So for those of you who know what I'm talking about, it's Outlander. It's on exclusively on Stars, unless Netflix picked up streaming rights of old seasons. They might have. I don't know, but I think there might be other platforms where they're showing some of the seasons, kind of like Walking Dead. But after they did already start Blood of My Blood, Outlander, Blood of My Blood. So there, it's like a prequel to Claire and Jamie's story. So it's about Claire's parents traveling through time to the past. But I liked it. Now I watched some channels that recap it. So it seems like the readers of the books don't really or not gonna watch Blood of My Blood. I don't know. I liked it. I was trying to make one of the storylines thinking that it was connecting to Blood of My Blood, but they didn't go there. And so I don't know. We'll see. Maybe they're tricking us. You never know. Anyway, I fell today. I'm like, I've always been so clumsy and klutzy. It's part of my ADHD. And so I should have been a stunt woman because I'm pretty like flexible if I fall and trip, which I've done, you know. Um, and so I don't get like, thank God, like, I might get a little banged up, but where I live, it's off the river. So a lot of the sidewalk and even the streets have these deep slopes in case the wall breaches. Um, they actually built the wall. The Army Corps of Engineers built the wall like a long, 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 long time ago. But if it would ever breach or any kind of flooding. So some of the sidewalks and the streets have this really, they're dipped down. So to kind of prevent flooding. And so you kind of got to watch. I don't care how able bodied your age, you got to watch where you're walking. And they also have sidewalks that are from like the 1700s. So they're like slate. Um, it's a little historic town. It was founded in the 1700s or whatever. But anyway, so I was walking along with Cassie because the weather was nice again today, walking along, and we walked pretty fast for a couple of old gals. Cassie's, she's going to be 13 here in a couple of months, so that would put her in her 70s, but it's not like they say 7 years to every one human year. It's not exactly that, it's around that. So I would say she's probably 70 in human years, but she's spry, walks fast. I walk fast. Um, and so, and we typically don't walk in this one area. And there's a lot of historic homes there, and some of them are being, revitalized. And of course, me, not paying attention on a new block, and one of the areas of the sidewalk had that slope down, so it's like a step. And of course, I didn't know. I'm walking straight, and boom, I hit that. And so I had my balance and kind of caught my balance, and then I stepped out, and then there was the up portion of it, and I just fell. Um, and I fell into like a plank position because I caught myself, like, you know, um, but I one knee did scrape, so I got a little raspberry on my knee. Um, and my knees were pretty scarred up from all my falls, but they actually finally like faded. A lot of my scarring faded, but a little raspberry on the side, so I didn't fall right on my knees, which would probably not be good, which I have done anyway, but kind of on the side, and then a little bump right here that I'm noticing now. At first, my hands, because I caught on the heel of my hands. Um, I just have to be careful. And Cassie, she's such a sweet girl. She got out of the way so I didn't fall on her. So because of course the leash came right out of my hand, so she just kind of stepped out of the way. And then as soon as I hit the ground, she come over. And then when I sat up, she hugs. She gives good hugs. She just came up to me to make sure I was okay. And what she does is she puts her paws up on my shoulders, and then she leans in for a hug. And then sometimes she'll, like, reach and just hold me. But yep, so she stayed with me. She's so adorable. Anyway, so yeah, and then because literally I could trip over air anyway. And then today I have I'm wearing just a little bit of a flare um, on my pants. I got my corduroys on because it's chilly out there, and just walking in the house. And usually I don't wear my shoes in the house, but I was getting ready to go, and I put my boots on, and the tip of the one boot hit the bottom of my pant leg, and I almost bought it right there. I'm like, geez, Louise, So But again, it's just sometimes how annoying. Like, um, just the way I walk. I don't walk in a straight line. I walk, you know, I've never walked in a straight line. I've fallen upstairs, up the stairs. Like I would constantly do that as a kid. And the steps we had were marble. So, my legs are pretty like banged up and knees scarring. And yeah, I'm a little klutzy. So that was my other nickname, daydreamer, klutzy. What did somebody? Ooh, yeah, yeah, quite a few nicknames, and usually related to my ADHD that nobody At the time, they weren't diagnosing really anybody with any of that neurodiversity. Uh, but then when they started to, it was the boys, not the girls. So anyway, all right, I'm back. I'm live again. So I don't know how long it went out. I probably should just, well, I guess I could edit it when I'm done. So yeah, I don't know where I was at. I was talking about something, and then I noticed that the chat went down. We've been having trouble with our internet for like the past 2 weeks, it seems like, because I know that they're upgrading the systems. However, it's happening a lot. Like I could understand when they were first kind of around, but it's happening multiple times a day. And I do a lot of video conferencing. And so it's happened several times during that. And I can't have that. So I'm not going to pay for a service that keeps going out. So um, I don't know with the upgrades if they're wanting people to go to higher tiers of internet service. So, they're doing this and not giving enough bandwidth. So you have to call in and then they're going to try and convince you to get a, you know, bigger plan. So probably what I'll do if this keeps happening and it's not a temporary situation, then I'm going to switch providers because I got spoiled by my one internet company that I had for 8 years. Never, ever, 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 ever had an issue with them ever. Even when they upgraded their, they went to fiber or whatever. Even during the upgrade, um, fiber optics, never had an issue. And then moving to this area, I never had an issue, so it's been over a year, and now I'm starting to have issues. So if it continues, then I'm going to switch providers. But I just, I did leave feedback in there. I have an app, so for my modem and router, so I did leave feedback. I'll call them tomorrow, but I'm not going to pay for a service that's not reliable. And this right now, like getting on YouTube and talking, and you know, that's you know, I mean, I could do it on my phone. I can tether, and do it on there. But for my other video conferences, I'm not gonna put up with that. I'm not gonna just shell out money for a service that's not working. But I was talking about um, YouTube. So I talked a little. I was going on about Outlander. I think most of that got through. I think all of that got through. But I started to talk about the oversaturation of genres on YouTube. So I started watching YouTube right when it launched in 2005. And I actually have a couple of channels, but I have one from the very beginning that I privatized some of the videos on it. But I um, have always been a true crime person. I've been following true crime since I'm a teen, maybe, well, and then of course being a victim of crime, and my family being victims of crime. So crime has been a part of my life for all my life. um, but so when YouTube um, started with the true crime creators, just everyday people like me, not professional um, journalists or commentators or host, not the high end TV production, crime shows, just everyday people who are true crime followers creating, coming on and having channels. And that was to me, much better than watching the highly produced, um, shows out there. Um, and and I'm talking about the true crime creators that are not grifters, because there are true crime creators that are grifters, that are, what are they calling them now? Trial junkies, not trial junkies, trial tourist, um, or true crime tourist, or whatever. And then they had, and now it's like crama channels, which is crime drama. It's a whole thing. But and now the news reporters and journalists are seeing the writing on the wall that linear TV is no more, pretty much. Even the streaming services, are, cable, streaming, linear TV, legacy TV, whatever you want to call it. They're um, getting like, nobody's watching it. Like YouTube is YouTube, TikTok, Insta. Well, I'm not sure about, but any of the platforms where you can, as a normal everyday person, get on and tell your story, or report on stories, or just do whatever, um, and you don't have to watch it on TV, or stream it. You can get on there, and then, or you can follow your favorite creators. But now what I'm finding is that these professionals, um, and celebrities are getting into YouTube, and of course they have the money and the resources to have high end, but they're acting like they're being like on the street, boots on the ground, um, but they're still highly polished. Um, and so now sponsorships are getting increased, ads are increasing. So they're just moving from their streaming and linear TV and taking over YouTube. So it's just getting overly saturated. Um, and then, of course, and also just the everyday Jane and Joe are creating YouTube channels. So it's just getting oversaturated. So it's flooding the timeline, like with, whatever trendy story that's coming, true crime story, and you're just seeing it from everybody. And it's like too much. It's like overly saturated. Same thing happened because I used to follow, um, the nomads and the van lifers, and this is when there was only like less than a handful of these people who were traveling around, living in their van, and van lifers or whatever. And then that exploded, and then COVID hit, and then it exploded even more. But it's like overly saturated, so now it's kind of it's overly saturated. It's getting repetitive and redundant and boring. And if you don't like, so if a story breaks, a new crime story breaks, everybody's on it. But then the police, law enforcement, the police, the FBI, whoever's investigating it, they're not they're not gonna tell you everything that's going on. So then these creators and journalists and everybody start making shit up. So then they start taking what they're they think is a lead, or they're making it into a lead, and then they're digging around in people's personal lives, and it's just getting too much. And then it's baity as all get out. It's just clickbait galore. And here's the thing, too. And then the journalists who went to school for journalism, who are on TV shows, but now they're booted off the shows because they're laying everybody off. They're getting on here, putting down YouTube creators and calling them grifters. But you've been grifters all along because you're getting paid for what you do. And now you're coming on here, and now you're up in the ante. So and now you're going to change the landscape of YouTube because it's already changing. So there's I have a premium subscription, so I don't have to see the 50 million ads coming on. Even when you're on a live, a creator will turn the turn on the live ads. Some creators don't. Defense Diaries won't do it. There are a couple creators when they do their lives, they will not flip the switch for the ads during their live because it disrupts the live. And what happens is it's not like you can like get right back in from where you left off. No, you miss that whole section of the live if an ad comes on. So some of those YouTubers won't turn the ads on until it's in replay, which is good. And so they can make a few dollars, but the ads on YouTube are out of control. That's why I got premium, because they're just long and frequent, and like some of them are like infomercial length long. um, and and then also creators are not only doing the AdSense, but then they're getting the sponsorships. And already these journalists who's created YouTube channels already have huge followings right out the gate. They're um, swallowing up the landscape or the streets, and they're already doing sponsorships already. Like they just started their YouTube channel, and they're already, and then they're calling YouTube people like true crime followers grifters. It's like you really have some effing nerve that you get on here, and I mean you're worse. Like forget it. But and I'm calling out like Brian Enton, Ashley Banfield. Who else is doing it? Matt Johnson, Vinnie Politan. Um, they're all jumping in, doing it. Uh, and it's like, who else is? Oh, Anjanette Levy from Long Crime. Like, they're all coming in, and they're all doing this whole, and then they're doing sponsorships. So it's like, so the people who don't have the premium, not only are they stuck watching these ads now. Before I got premium, when an ad came on, you could skip it after a couple of seconds. I'm assuming you could still do that. But then they're doing sponsorships. So it's back to like linear TV, where now you watch a show, you watch an hour show, and 40 minutes of it is ads. So, so that's what's happening on YouTube. And again, the repetitiveness, the redundancy of a case, it's getting old. And um, finding myself like, I'm not interested. And just like I lost interest in van life because it just got saturated. So I always watch all different kinds of um, YouTube videos, all different types of genres and stuff. But mostly I watch the true crime, and that's actually how, that's what I watch most. But I'm moving away from it. Now I like Jolene Lunza because she does pop culture, and she's a comedian and a writer, and she's funny. And right now she's roasting some of the true crime grifters out there. So, and she's funny. But I'm telling you, I'm like, and I don't know if anybody else feels that way. Oh, sorry, I'm tired. So I don't know if anybody else is feeling that way. If any other YouTube watchers are kind of like, oh God, this is just like, you can go to your subscription timeline, and it's just flooded with the same thing, or you can go to your home timeline where it's picking up the algorithm and it gives you a mix. But definitely kind of getting, I don't know, kind of boring, a little boring. But anyway, I'm going to continue. So, in one of the chats in the Wizard of Radical Self Respect, Jared Mello. I always forget the whole title. So we had a little chat discussion, and we were talking about 1984, Big Brother. Why were we talking about it? We were talking about something, and then we got. Oh, was it that? Oh, no, 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 no! It was not Jared's channel. It was Rabbit, um, down the rabbit hole news. We started talking about. Um, I don't even know how we got on that topic. So I had brought up 19. Somebody had brought up Amazon warehouse, and I'm like, yeah, that's like walking into a 1984 novel. It's just like it's just horrific working conditions. Anyway, so somebody asked me, yeah, I read that too, 1984. It's very, Amazon is very Orwellian. But she asked me if I ever read Brave New World, and I'm like, no. I mean, I vaguely remember it, but I don't remember reading it. And it is written around the same time that 1984 was written. So I am going to read that. I did pull it up on internetarchive.org. However, it's probably copyrighted, so I probably couldn't read it out, but I can try. But I am going to read it because it's a tiny book. Still have my books for Frederick Douglass that I will read. I will get to, and I have been exploring the encoders so I can share screen, so I could do a little bit more instead of just straight lives. I could do sharing screen. I could do inserts. I could do a present. I can do a presentation. You know, I could get into the 21st century of YouTube creators creation, where I could do clips and I could do screen sharing. You know, but anyway, what I'm going to do is I'm going to read Article 1, Section 10 of the Constitution. Let's get rid of this. And I am going to kind of get of it in layman's terms. Oh, hang on a sec. Let's do this. Is that it? Let's pull it out. There we go. Oh no, that's not it. Oh. Nope, that's not the one I wanted. Oh. Let's see if I can find it. Nope. Is that it? Nope. Okay. There we go. Let me get here so I can at least see myself. Okay. So let's go there. So Section 10, Article 1, Section 10. No state shall enter into any treaty, alliance, or confederation, grant letters of marque and reprisal, coin money, emit bills of credit, make anything but gold and silver coin a tender in payment of debts, pass any bill of entainder, ex post facto law, a law impairing the obligation of contracts, or grant any title of nobility. No state shall, without the consent of the Congress, lay any impost or duties on imports or exports. Sounds like tariffs, huh? Except what may be absolutely necessary for executing its inspection laws, and the net produce of all duties and imposts laid by any state on imports or exports. My dad was in import export building a business. I was like, "What are you importing and exporting, Dad?" He never answered. Shall be for the use of the treaty of the United States, and all laws shall be subject to the revision and control. And this is how they spell control, Old English. Troul. Alexa, how do you spell control in Old English?
Control.
So I have it Control. Is that the old way of spelling it?
Control isn't a recognized spelling of control. The correct spelling is Control.
So she's not getting it. But I think I looked it up, control of the Congress, and I think it's Old English. Asks Chat GPT. Because I think Chat GPT is smarter than Alexa. I think she heard me. Anyway, no state shall, without the consent of Congress, lay any duty of tonnage, keep troops or ships of war in time of peace, enter into any agreement or compact with another state or with a foreign power, or engage in war unless actually invaded or in such imminent danger as will not admit of delay. Wow, how ironic that this is what we're on, because this is kind of what's happening now, right? And I think the felon's time is running out, to where he has to get permission from Congress. But you know what? They don't listen. They don't pay attention to rules of law or constitutional law or anything like that. And they do have constitutionalists in the administration. But anyway, so the Constitution of the United States, Section 10. So this is from Chat GPT. It sounds like you're asking about Article 1, Section 10 of the United States Constitution. This section focuses on limits placed on the states, things individual states are not allowed to do. Here's a clear modern breakdown. Main idea. Article 1. You okay over there, Cassie? She's Article 1, Section 10 prevents states from acting like independent countries or undermining federal authority. So, it's so funny. At one point, the Key West, they wanted to secede from the United States. This was recent, this is not too long ago. They wanted to secede from the United States, so they wanted to become, you know, separate, another country. And California talks about doing that as well. I mean, you know, and, uh, like they say that because Florida is so like at sea level, that one day they're going to be under the sea, and California's has had so many earthquakes that they're going to eventually just break off from the United States. So they might secede, uh, naturally, Mother Nature, but they have brought it up. Okay, so I wonder if they like. I think they actually try to make movements to actually do that. Anywho, so key clauses simplified. One, states cannot enter treaties or alliances with other countries, coin their own money, pass laws that punish someone without a trial, bills of attainder. That's what that meant, bills of attainder, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Um, Retroactively criminalize actions, ex post facto laws, grant titles of nobility, in other words, no dukes or lords at the state level. 2, states cannot tax imports, exports without Congress's approval. They can't interfere with trade between states or countries. Oh, interesting. Any approved taxes must go to the federal government. So states cannot, all right, without Congress approval. But did the felon get Congress approval to do all these tariffs? And that's in circumvented way of taxing, I guess, goods, whatever. It's so convoluted. And he made deals with people, you know, uh, the elite and the bazillionaires, like, give us all this money and then you'll make it back. Well, they didn't because the tariffs got stopped. And now Kevin Leary or O'Leary from, that one show. And anyway, he's wanting his money back. And then they're talking about having to reimburse people for the tariffs, for the increase in goods set by it's like so messed up. It really is. All right, so that was 2. 3, states cannot keep troops or warships in peacetime. So right now they're in the Strait of Hormuz, and they are the United States set up a blockade so they cannot pass because Iran closed it, but they can leave and they can trade goods with other countries. So our ships are blocking their ships, and then they fired upon an Iranian vessel, that a cargo ship, on their engine room and stopped the movement and are not allowing them to pass. So essentially capturing, well, it's not a warship, but they said that the Iranians were firing upon, who knows what's going on out there. It's insanity. Um, Enter agreements with other states or foreign powers. Go to war unless invaded or in immediate danger. So, what did he do? What did the felon do? That's exactly what he did. How is he allowed to get away with this and continue? I mean, I think there's an imminent danger thingy clause that he can go, but you have 60 days and you have to get approval, whatever. Why this matters. After the weakness of the Articles of Confederation, the framers wanted a stronger national government. This section ensures national unity, consistent economic policy, no state acting like its own nation. Okay, so we don't have national unity. We do not have consistent economic policies, and no state acting like its own nation. So DC is District of Columbia, so it's not a state, right? It's not a state. But it's acting like its own nation, right? So I'm going to ask that question. So I'm going to circle back. Okay, so it says, if you want, I can show you the exact original wording, break it down line by line, or even simpler. Yeah, we can do that. Yes, let him do that, but I am going to ask about this too. Here is the original wording of Article 1, Section 10. So I already read it to you. So talks about, and they do spell control OUL. So it's so funny with the Old English. Um, yeah, control is an archaic or obsolete spelling of the word control, referring to influence or authority. I want to let Alexa know. Alexa, the word controlled, spelled CONTROUL, is an archaic or obsolete spelling of the word control, referring to influence, authority, or command over something. I just wanted to let you know because you didn't
That's an
understand.
interesting point. I'll keep that in mind for future reference.
Okay. It is frequently found in historical documents such as the United States Constitution, Article 1.
That's fascinating. I'll look into that historical spelling.
Referring to power or regulate or restrict rather than a modern technical term. Alrighty. So I just had to clarify that to her. I'm educating Alexa because what's happening since they did this update, um, and it's like Alexa Plus, but it's like Alexa Minus because she actually got dumber. Just saying. All right, so we got this plain English breakdown. So we did all that. I do want to know about this. Yeah, so the big picture, one unified country, not 50 mini nations, a stable economy and trade system, which we don't have that, and we don't have a unified country. Um, Centralized control over war and diplomacy. So what I want to know um, is DC considered a state, which it's not, but I want them to explain as far as that rule goes. So Washington D.C. is not a state. Hang on a sec. I still want to make sure I'm live here. I'm like running my mouth. I'm still going. It looks like I'm still going. Let's do this so I can kind of keep an eye on it. There we go. Let's do this. There we go. So Washington, D.C. is not a state. It's a federal district, officially called the District of Columbia, created by the United States Constitution to serve as the nation's capital and be independent of any one state. So before I read on, so if we have to be a unified country and the states cannot be mini countries, and then that means that like they can't make their own decisions on behalf of the whole country. But DC can, like, because that's essentially what they're doing there. But anyway, let's read on. To serve as the nation's capital and be independent of any one state. Why it's not a state? The Constitution, Article 1, Section 8, allows Congress to create a special district to house the federal government. The idea was no single state will have control over the capital. The federal government would operate on neutral ground. But the federal government controls all of the United States to an extent. Like, it's a little like confusing. What makes DC different? Residents can vote for president, since the 23rd Amendment in 1961. Yeah, because they couldn't vote, you know. But they do not have full because they do not have full voting representation in Congress. They have a delegate in the House, can debate, not vote on final laws, no senators. So they are fighting that. They are trying to amend that. But I didn't realize they couldn't vote for president in my lifetime before 1961. Ongoing debate. There's been a long running discussion about whether DC should become a state, often called DC statehood, to give residents full representation. Because they've been fighting that. They want that. Because then, because it's almost like, okay, we're all, states. We can't run as countries. We can't control. Congress has that, but but then but then there should be part of the union and it should be unity, but it's not because they're operating as their own country, controlling us, which is so like, if you kind of look at it like that, that's what it seems like, right? Bottom line, DC is part of the United States, but it's not one of the 50 states. It's a unique federal district. So my question would be, what would my question be? So DC is not a state, but it actually runs the United States. How is that even like legal? Because it's doing things, like for right now, what's happening in Iran with the war in Iran without congressional approval. So explain that. So if DC is not a state, but it actually runs the United States, I mean, essentially, I guess it does. I don't know. We'll find out what they say. You're asking a really important question, and you're right to notice that something feels off, but there are two separate issues getting mixed together. Washington, D.C. versus states, who runs the country, war powers, who can start military action. Let's untangle them both. So DC doesn't run the country, but there are people who make decisions upon the country. The district of it's a place where they're making decisions. I don't know. The District of Columbia is just the location where the federal government sits. But I think that the felon is finding like a loophole where he can get away with not following the Constitution. It doesn't have power because it's DC. It has power because Congress, the president, and courts operate there. That's what I'm talking about. These institutions are created by the United States Constitution. So they do have power because they operate out of that area. So the authority comes from the Constitution, not from DC being a state. Okay, all right. But what if they all were in Maryland or Pennsylvania? What if all this stuff was in like a state? I don't know. Maybe I'm conflating or mixing everything up. Who actually has war power? The Constitution splits power on purpose. Congress has the power to declare war. President is the commander in chief, runs the military. That sounds clear, but in reality, it's messy. Well, yes, it is. Why presidents can act without Congress sometimes. Over time, presidents have taken more flexibility. There are three main legal jurisdictions. A, commander in chief powers. Presidents argue they can take limited military action like airstrikes without a formal war declaration. This has happened many times, not just now. B, the War Powers Resolution 1973. The law was meant to limit presidents, but it actually allows a workaround. Presidents can act first, must notify Congress within 48 hours, has about 60 days. That's what I was talking about, the 60 days to get approval or withdraw. So it doesn't stop action, it just tries to control it after it starts. C, not a real war argument. But he keeps saying war, and then he goes, oh, I'm not supposed to say war. Presidents often claim this isn't a full war, it's limited or defensive action. That's how they justify acting without Congress, which he's doing. Yeah, U.S. House narrowly rejects war powers resolution as dissent grows. See, that was a little confusing to me because there was that was put up 5 days ago, and they narrowly reject war powers resolution. So that I don't know if they were trying to get more control. I forget. I was confused by that. U.S. Senate Republicans block latest bid to rein in Trump Iran war powers. Oh, okay. So that's what it was. They were trying to like get a handle on it on the Democratic side, but the idiots, the cult members. 11 times U.S. presidents launched military operations without congressional approval. Congress tried to stop or limit military action but failed by very close votes. That was just recently. Some lawmakers say the president is overstepping. Others say it's within presidential authority. This exact fight has happened many times in U.S. history. So is it legal or not? Here's the honest answer. It's not clearly settled. That's why this Constitution is like, we really need to I don't know, clear it up. Constitution says Congress declares war. Reality, presidents often act first. Courts usually stay out of it. Congress often doesn't stop it. So it becomes more of a political fight than a clear legal violation. The uncomfortable truth. What you're noticing is real. The system was designed to prevent one person from starting wars. Over time, power has shifted towards the president. Congress can stop it, but often doesn't or can't agree. Simple way to think about it. Legal on paper, shared power. In practice, president often leads, Congress reacts. Result, constant gray area and debate. Like, it's just convoluted, like I said. So, who wrote the Constitution? I want names. Okay. The Constitution wasn't written by just one person. It was created by a group of delegates at the Constitutional Convention in Philadelphia. I thought two people wrote it. Main contributors, often called framers. James Madison, known as the father of the Constitution because he played a major role in designing it. George Washington presided over the convention. Benjamin Franklin, elder statesman who helped guide debates. Alexander Hamilton, strong advocate for a powerful federal government. Gouverneur, I never heard that name before, actually wrote most of the final wording, the polished draft. How it was created, 55 delegates from 12 states. Rhode Island didn't attend. Oh, Rhode Island. They met in secret during the summer of 1787. Why in secret? Their goal, fix the weak articles of Confederation, Instead, they created an entirely new system of government. Final step after writing it, it had to be approved, ratified by the states. Supporters like Madison, Hamilton, and John Jay wrote the Federalist Papers to convince people to accept it. Bottom line, the Constitution was a group effort, but James Madison shaped the ideas and Gouverneur Morris shaped the words. I want to know, first of all, how to pronounce his name. Sounds French. One was for slavery, one was against slavery. Yes, French. I am part French. Let's see. Oh, Khan Academy. I love that. I don't know if you can hear that. All right, can we just say his name, please? Okay, that's not what I want. I just want to know who this person is. Gouverneur. Oh, I don't know if you can hear it. I think last time I would play something on YouTube, it couldn't be heard. You guys didn't hear it. But anyway, Gouverneur, born in New York, like me, French, like me. Who's the one? Hang on one second. So, Gouverneur Morris was strongly against slavery and was one of the most vocal critics of the 1787 Constitutional Convention. As a Pennsylvania delegate, he called slavery a nefarious institution and a curse of heaven, arguing that it violated natural rights and would poison American politics. It's still poisoning American politics. It's still it's a poison, like, and they won't, and these people won't quit on it. Like, even now to this day, and I'm talking young people, like, they're brainwashed by their families and their descendants, and it's gross. Um, so he was the one who was against slavery. So they and James Madison. So they were the two main people of the Constitution of the United States, right? James Madison, ideals or idea, Gouverneur, words. What was his stand on it? James Madison held deeply contradictory views on slavery, acknowledging it was immoral and violated Republican principles while simultaneously owning over 100 enslaved people at his Montpelier plantation and never liberating them. He viewed slavery as a tragic necessity, and like that was the, you know, necessity, and never a tragic necessity and a political danger to the Union, advocating for its restriction but failing to act against it. So, ideological opposition. Madison frequently argued that slavery was inconsistent with the principles of the American Revolution, but he was a slave owner. Despite his personal objection, he owned 100 slaves throughout his life. I'm sure he fathered, you know, included during his time in the White House. He did not free his slaves, and they were left like a house, like a horse, like a property to his wife Dolly after his death. Yeah. So you had four who justified it in their sick minds, and one just totally like it was abhorrent to him. So you had two like opposing views, um, but somehow they got the words in, created equal, that like craziness. So I think I'm just going to continue. You can do courses on here, um, on just the regular YouTube live. So I think I'm going to look more into that too, because I think you can set it up as a course, because I would really like to go through the Constitution, like start over, but I'll just move forward just to kind of get a grasp on, the Old English, translating it into modern language, um, and trying to understand it. And are our Congress women and men uh, actually adhering to it, following it, obeying it, or whatever other words we can use, um, because we're all topsy turvy here. Um, I mean, maybe burning it all down and starting from scratch, but I think that's a dangerous thing. Like we were on a path, you know, and it's funny because it is funny that it was the Democrats that were the ones that were fighting for the slavery, but that got all twisted around, right? So it is possible for change, but I'm telling you, there's low key like these Democrats, yeah, they get in there and they're not for everybody. They're racist in there, but um, how much power do we have? Like everybody says, call your congressperson, call, but you can call, and we've been calling it, and it made a little movement, but we are not in control here. We have very little control. Now, we could have full on control, and we have proven that at other times, like the Boston Tea Party, like even the little step that we took when they tried to take Jimmy Kimmel off the air, that people um, quit their streaming services, unsubscribed, and it made a dent and it made a difference. So we know that the power of the pocket, we can make changes. However, they have us so enmeshed and so entangled, and they did it intentionally. We are addicted because we get instant gratification from shopping online and getting delivery, and we are hooked into these corporations like a needle in our arm. And they know it, and they set it up that way. Um, sure, we can do boycotts and stuff like that, but it's hard because people are hooked and dependent on these systems, and they set it up that way. So we can't make a dent if we do a boycott. We can make little tiny, but we can't make an overwhelming dent. So until we get that, until we can figure out a way around that, you know, I mean, maybe it is a matter of burning it all down, and then starting over. But we were on a path. We were on a path, you know, of inclusion. We were on a path. America was never great, never. Um, I mean, before the takeover of this land, um, before the colonization, before these people, the Europeans came over, they had their own systems here, the original peoples, which my great grandmother, I am descended from that, had their systems. And sure, I'm sure there were, you know, uh, probably class, um, higher class, lower class tribes, and, but it seemed like they had their own system going, and it wasn't this whole let's completely annihilate a whole tribe so we can take over, you know. So um, so America did not come in here to be friends or to share the land or they didn't even act like they were guests in this land. They were guests. They were visiting, and they just took it over. Europeans, and just came in and said, "We want this, and we're taking it from you, and we're going to wipe you out to do it." And that's how this country got started. So America was never great. We were on a path to reconcile all the damage that was done, um, the genocide of the original peoples here, the enslavement and the kidnapping and enslavement of peoples from Africa and disrupting their tribes. So um, the foundation and the continued racism and the continued um, annihilation of people um, is an ongoing thing, and we were on a path to stop that, to make amends, to get on a better path. And you know the people whose ancestors came over and annihilated the original people, um, don't want that. It's called racism, greed, evilness, and they don't want that. So I don't know. We got to figure out how we can actually get back on track and to make this to make amends and to get on a good path. But, probably not going to happen in my lifetime. They were actually we were actually slowly making baby steps towards that. We were really making strides towards that. And then this idiot, um, unfortunately, coming from where I was born too, um, is burning it all down. But anyway, I didn't mean to go on that tangent. But I think I covered everything I put in my title. Um, I, and I'm going to have to go in and edit because I was offline for I don't know how long because the internet went out because we're having trouble with our internet in this area because they're upgrading. And I hope it's temporary, but it's been going on for like 2 weeks now. So I'll be back. I don't know when to read because we are on page 12 and the beginning of Article 2. I might review Article 1 and to get a clearer picture of what the sections are. But this is the very basic, and there's the amendments in it, but I think there's so much more. So this is an old book. So I think probably what I'm going to do is going to read through this and, you know, read through the um, original text and then translate it in modern text. And then again, like I said, I might develop a course out of it because you can do that on YouTube. And then also, I just started looking into using an encoder, so like StreamYard or whatever encoder I think would work. Probably StreamYard, everybody uses it. So I can do some more presentation type things. But anyway, thanks for stopping by. For those who stopped by, sorry for the interruption of the internet. And it's like a quarter to 12. I get on here. I've been on here an hour and a half, really, maybe an hour and 15. Um, I got lots to do. I got to prepare this room here so I can get my AC in on Thursday. So I'll be doing that all day tomorrow, rearranging stuff, building stuff, you know, all the things. And I'm tired just thinking about it. But anyway, thanks for stopping by. Have a good night. Be blessed. Be safe. Say a prayer or a thought that we're going to make it through and be okay. All right, everyone. Talk to you soon. Bye.